Hi, welcome to SoCali's Wrestling. Today we have a new guest for the show. We have the Derby Doll Layne Rosario.
Hi, guys. Hi.
How are you doing, Layne?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thank you for coming to the show on this rainy day here in California.
It's the opposite here in Florida. It was sunny today for once.
I love the rainy days, but I kind of sometimes miss the sunshine. But I gotta like to have a mix of both. So, all right. So I'm gonna ask this about the one thing that pops out when I hear Derby Doll Layne Rosario is that Derby Doll. Is that a gimmick or is that something you actually did in your past, or are you doing it currently right now?
It was something I had done in a past life. But I decided when I made wrestling more of a full-time thing for myself was that I changed it and I made it the character because I was kind of lost and not knowing where to go with it. And I was like, well, I used to do this, so why not make it the character? And also in March, I'm trying out for a team here in Orlando.
So you're trying to do continue with the Derby Doll as a hobby, or is it still like a little career with like wrestling?
Yes.
I'm going to continue with the Derby Doll career. What made you choose the Derby Doll lifestyle?
As far as wrestling or as far as like Derby itself?
Derby itself.
Derby itself was because it was something different. Like I grew up like not tomboy, but very like meek, very quiet. I watched Derby once with a friend of mine and I was like, I love this. I love the girls. They're all alternative looking. They're strong and powerful. And I don't know, I just like hitting people. So I instantly fell in love with it because they were tattooed up rocker type of girls. And I was like, I could fit into this. And they're tough and like a family. And I needed that. I needed the push in the strong girl direction.
Is that kind of influenced you to the wrestling path, or is that something you kind of follow through since you were a child or teenage years?
Actually, as a child, my dad wanted a son when I was born because I'm his oldest. He got me instead. So since the age of 5, I've been watching wrestling with him and kind of looked up to women like Luna Vachon and Sherry Martel, and I saw that they were like strong women. I love that. I love when women can be themselves no matter what and be strong and powerful and be just as hard hitting and a personality as the men were. So for me, that's what it really did it for me. So yeah, it's been since I was a kid.
Did you have like a favorite moment, a wrestling moment, or a favorite wrestler you had back then since your childhood days?
Was there a moment where I do this?
Can you repeat that again? I kind of heard static in the background. Sorry.
Okay, so what I was saying is that you were asking me if it was one of those times that I felt that, I'd like to do this.
Yes.
Meaning wrestling. Okay, so for me, it was roughly when I went into my teenage years because I had friends who were wrestlers. And I was like, I want to be in there. I want to be one of the guys because I always grew up with a group of guy friends. So once they all started doing it and I said, hey, this may be something I would want to try. And it's just funny enough that the 2 guys that I started training with no longer do wrestling, and I'm still the one that is the last woman standing in that group.
So, as like you were telling me, with a group of friends, with the guy friends, like making more as like almost tomboyish in a sort of way. And you're like, it's like I care about being kicked at or being punched at. It's like I'm not too feminine person. It's like I still want to be a tough girl who can kick ass. Anyway.
Yeah, basically. I always wanted to be different because I come from a household that's predominantly females. I'm the middle out of 5 kids, and 4 out of the 5 of us are females. So it was nice to stand out and just do a little something that was different on my own. Nobody else was involved in wrestling, liked wrestling at all. I was the only one that ever liked it. So I guess being the guy-ish type was something different and made me stand out as an individual amongst my sisters.
Did you have one of those, I'm going to take this back. Do you have like a favorite wrestler you kind of follow through in your childhood days or at this time present?
Wrestlers I look up to now
Yes.
would be women like ODB, because of that very like tough ass badass thing. I love that about her. Like, just here I am. This is what I'm about. Take it or leave it. Another one would be Saraya. Oddly enough, she's one of those two that inspires me to no end. I just like women who were themselves, no matter what, and showed that you can be strong, powerful, and hit like a guy, but still be respected as a female.
And then it's been almost a week since you had fought in Rise 2, which is like the NXT to Shimmer, if I believe, with having rookies, female wrestlers, before they go to more of the big independent shows like Shimmer, ROH, and Shine, WSU. And you were part of that, one of those beginning promotions, and then you had a chance to be 1/3 of Saraya's opponent for that same night.
Mm-hmm.
And how'd you feel?
Yeah, that was huge for me.
How'd you feel wrestling with Saraya?
Honestly, it was like a dream come true. I felt like a little kid. And when it was all said and done, I was just like, wow, that's what it's like to be in there with somebody like her. And I look up, like I said, I look up to her so much. I consider her one of my wrestling moms. It was nice. It made me put the fire under my ass to actually be tougher and not be as meek as I am sometimes, or even back down. I mean, she's tough. I had to step down a little bit and say, you know what? I'm going to get my butt handed to me, but I'm going to take my ass kicking like a pro. It was definitely a highlight for me. I set a lot of goals for myself for 2017. Wrestling her was one of them, so I'm happy I got to do it early in the year. I want to do it again as soon as I can.
Before, did you got the chance? Well, did they tell you that you had to wrestle Saraya night that same day, or was that a surprise to you, or was that already in advance? You're gonna say, "Hey, you're gonna be wrestling Saraya night."
We found out right before the show, basically, what we were doing, who we were wrestling against, and it took every fiber of my little fangirl being not to be like, oh my God, I'm stepping in the ring with her. But there's nothing like stepping into that ring with her. I'll tell you that much.
You were kind of joy, or you were kind of a little bit scared before you were actually wrestled with Saraya. It's like, ooh, it's like this is. I know I've been Derby Doll, but Saraya is going to be my Derby Doll challenge of the wrestling ring.
Basically, it was scared, excited, anxious, because you really, when you're in the ring with somebody of that caliber, you want to do your best and be the best that you can be in that arena too, because I've never been to California, been in the ring. So for me, it felt like the pressure was on me, but I also knew that I could have fun with it because of who it was too. And I knew I was in safe hands.
Oh, that's good. I'm also believing that also she is the mom of WWE's own Paige. And it's like, hey, I'm going to be, I know if I can be the same level as Saraya, and it's like, I also can be the same level as Paige. I'm going to the WWE. But is that also a goal of yours to be?
My goal as far as wrestling is a few different things. Right now, I've kind of kept it step by step. First, it was Rise 1. Now it was Rise 2. I got to wrestle Saraya Knight. So that's another check. Next up for me is Shimmer, Women of Honor, and then hopefully one day WWE. But I'm also realistic that if that didn't happen, I want to go the farthest that I can and do everything and travel and see the world too and do other things like that.
How long have you been into the wrestling business?
On and off, to be honest with you, roughly, I was a manager before I moved to Florida. So that was roughly altogether 8 years. 5 as an actual wrestler and 3 doing managing.
Wait, can you tell me about your experience before you got to being a wrestler and your managing days? Can you tell me a little bit about that? And who do you manage?
Yes, it's actually Okay, I call it the cautionary tale. Is how I got into wrestling. I had a friend who was on a show, a man by the name of Danny DeMonto in New Jersey. I managed him without ever having any experience, never stepping into a ring. Probably the wrong way of doing things. So now it's been a whirlwind of trying to correct some of those things. It was a lot of fun, actually, for the 3 years that I did it. I did it all over the New Jersey, New York, got to learn a lot about psychology, and that's where I picked that part up well. It was just in ring. I didn't have a lot of that because I couldn't find a home for training. Every time I would start a school, the trainer would leave or they'd switch, the building would close down, something. So I never really had a chance to find a home until I came to Orlando, and then I found a home.
Where did you start your wrestling school? Did you start at, well, because in Florida I always hear the Team 3D Academy over there, if I'm not mistaken.
I am not part of Team 3D Dojo. Actually, I was originally training at Team Vision Dojo, which was the trainers there were Larry Zbyszko, Scott Hall at one point, and now I'm training at Wrestling 2.0 in Winter Park with the lovely and very talented Santana Garrett, and we do Lady Warriors training on Monday nights.
And then Santana also, she like you kind of told earlier in this podcast that you want to start off little by little, like, all right, I'm going to start off with the indie promotions like the Women Honor, the Shimmer, with Rise, continuation with Rise, another women promotion, not even women promotion, it could be other bigger promotions. It could be within the East Coast, West Coast, out of the country, like you want to say, you want to travel. And Santana kind of did the same thing. She started as an independent wrestler, and also I believe she's a second generation. She kind of started doing East Coast thing, and then she started moving to other states and going out of the country. And then she had a little gimmick with one of the WWE's rival company called TNA. And it's like knowing that your classmate or your wrestling partner in the academy. It's like, wow, if she went to TNA, or she might go to another big promotions. It's like, I know you can do that too.
Well, that's the goal, and that's why I train with somebody. They say in life you should associate yourself with people who are either in a higher position of you. This way you have somebody that you can look up to and reach toward what their goals are. So for me, she's one of those that has a career that I would I'd really like, because she's gotten to travel and see places and do different promotions here and there, like a TNA, like NXT. And it's funny because I actually live 10 minutes away from where TNA shoots their shows.
At the Universal Studios in Orlando.
Yes.
Hopefully one day I can actually go to the TNA tapings. But again, we don't have TNA in California. We're barely ever travel to California. So you have other bigger promotions like PWG, also other SoCal promotions like FCW, AWS, PCW, becoming also a bigger promotion like PWG, and then Lucha Underground. That's what we have here. But I kind of see it. But lucky for you, living in Florida, you get to be seeing the NXT, the TNA, and then with those being close to you, did you ever be like a extra for NXT or TNA?
I'd really like to starting to branch out and send my information that direction because I am close. We'll see. To be honest with you, I could see that happening for 2017, and I'm staying hopeful about it because I am close by. So it would be nice to be like, hey, there's a 20-minute drive and I get to be an extra for NXT. Or, hey, I get to be an extra for TNA. It would be nice. So all you NXT and WWE and TNA people out there that are watching this, just letting you know, here's your notice.
So I want to go back to with Santana. Is she one of the people you kind of look up to as like? Does she give you like be under her wing and tell you like some advices or like, oh, you should get to do this, you should do that kind of thing, or help you out in the ring itself, or the other wrestlers you kind of mentioned like Larry Zbyszko and said previously Scott Hall. Do they kind of is there certain specific people that kind of helped you out more, or is it all of them?
Well, I'll give you, there's three names in my life right now that were big instrumental people to the Derby Dolls creation and the Derby Dolls success. One would be the upgrade Mike Reed, aka my boyfriend. He has been in wrestling for, I do believe, 12 to 13 years now. He's a huge influence on me. It's nice to live with somebody that shares that passion and that goal. He's been my biggest supporter, my trainer, in the ring, at the gym. I'm lucky to have that. He's done some WWE extra work and actually wrestled Kurt Angle in the Kurt Angle Invitational when they had that a couple of years back. Next one is Lexi Fife. I probably wouldn't be where I am as far as the character Derby Doll or the confidence that I have in the ring without her. Because I actually left Team Vision Dojo, I would say close to a year ago now, and started training with Lexi for a little while when we our schedules matched up. So she's another one of that's in the category of wrestling mom. So I'm very, very lucky that I have the support system that I do. And third would be Santana, because she pushes me to step out of my comfort zone every Monday night and do things that I probably wouldn't do as a shorter female. And it's nice to have that somebody that's done that, that's been there, that I can pick her brain. Hey, what do you think of this as an entrance? Or, hey, what do you think of this moveset? So I'm a pretty lucky girl. And now with doing Rise and having the Rise family behind me, 2017 is maybe the year of the doll. We shall see.
Lexi Five also is one underrated, I don't want to say female wrestler, but wrestler, period. She has wrestled in East Coast, a little bit at the Midwest, and also especially in Shimmer. And then also she kind of, I think she's the co-partner or co-founder of Shine's Women's Wrestling. But how did you get introduced by Lexi Five?
Actually by going to Shine shows and talking to her. I realized this is a woman who, one, has a body type that I feel like I would be similar to. Two, just she's such an amazing brain for wrestling to pick. And I don't know why more females, not that I'm saying more should, because I like keeping her to myself, but more women should pick her brain. She is amazing. And we started talking and became friends. Like, I consider her a very close friend of mine and somebody that I look up to greatly.
Were you there for the first Shine?
I've been there for almost every Shine show there has been.
And you have not missed not even one episode or taping, right? So they call it over there.
I think I missed the last one only because I had work. But I want to come back soon, and I actually want to get back in the Shine ring as soon as possible.
That was my next question. It's like, did you actually wrestle in Shine?
Yes, I did. I wrestled for Shine, I do believe it was 3 shows ago. I wrestled Luscious Latasha.
You talked about that, wrestling Luscious Latasha.
There's nothing better than, one, making your debut for Shine, which is huge in the Tampa, Ybor, or even everywhere else. But getting to do it against one of your best friends was amazing.
And luckily you got to wrestle for Rise, for Shine. Is your goal also to go to the East Coast and also the other women's promotion is WSU?
Long time ago, I actually did work for WSU. I was a referee for them for one show. I have not wrestled there yet. And within a few months, I may be actually relocating to the New Jersey area. So that's going to be one of the places I want to work, and also the Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey.
So, well, I'm going to say moving to New Jersey, it's like, well, that's not bad with having another wrestling promotion out there. Like, again, WSU, CZW, I think House of Hardcore, Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore. But will you be missing the TNA and the Shine and NXT? Looking forward to New Jersey.
New Jersey has a lot of promotions and a lot of places to be seen, because TNA and NXT don't always pick from the talent pool in Florida, I don't think it'll hurt my chances, because a lot of the females that they're hiring now, not all of them lived here. So for me, I feel like I would have more exposure, more shows, things like that if I was in the Northeast rather than here in Florida.
Back to your earlier about your referee days. Like, how'd you get to be a referee?
The previous owner, well, 2 owners back now because they've changed it. I was best friends with Foxy, who was one of their referees as well. The previous owner was like, hey, we have an extra spot for an extra ref. Do you want to come with her and referee? I said, sure, I'll take any spot in the show that I can, because that's how much I loved wrestling. I love it, and I don't mind doing that. And it was a chance to, work for the company. And I still to this day have one of their original T-shirts that says "Women Superstars Uncensored."
And now it's run by DJ Hyde.
Yes.
And hopefully, you can, instead of being a referee, and it's like, I want to be a wrestler. I want to be, again, like, it could be from the dark show, or it could be from the pre-show, the mid-card. It's like anywhere, at least you get a spot at WSU. But...
yeah. That would be nice, just to say, hey, this is, my turn now to be in the ring, instead of counting the 1, 2, 3.
But at least you have different positions. You started off as a manager. You went to being a wrestler for 5 years, and then you had that one-time gimmick of being a referee. And did that make you like a sense of just the referee part? Did it feel like, hey, I'm not just, why do you want me to be a referee if I'm a wrestler? Did you take it like a bad thing, or is that something like learning experience? Like, hey, I can do this too.
A learning experience, and I wanted to take every opportunity that I can. So even if it is, hey, we need you to step in for a referee for this show, you never know. Those spots could lead to other things, and you doing other things on the show the next time.
Again, it's like, for me as a college student, it's like, you gotta learn each bit. If a certain career or a certain job, it's like you want to know as much as possible to be a valuable asset to a company or to a promotion to you. Is the wrestling business. That is your kind of your profession. It's like manager, wrestler, referee. You can probably be a featured commentator if you wanted to. It's like getting pieces of that and still loving working for a wrestling business.
Well, I've done also backstage interviewing. So I think I've gotten a lot of different pieces of the puzzle to try to make myself more well-rounded in that sense, that I know everybody's job, what to do here and there, and what's going on with that.
Was that also with WSU, or is this a different promotion you were doing backstage?
This was a different promotion. Mm-hmm. This was Ace Pro Wrestling in Union City, New Jersey.
Were you kind of scared? It's like, hey, you're kind of camera shy, or it's like, you didn't care at all. It's like, if they're giving you opportunity,
I did in the beginning. No, I did in the beginning. I was a little shy because I can sit and talk all day, just talking. I mean, as a ex-New Yorker, we're kind of ingrained that way, where that's all we can do. So when they put the camera in my face, I froze. I was like, okay, now what do I say? How do I make this organic? How do I make this genuine without sounding like I'm scared?
Well, because as a wrestler, you want, one of the key elements also is to able to speak on the mic and kill a promo. If you can't kill a promo, then you're just a simple wrestler. Well, your wrestling can also do the talking for you inside the ring, but not everybody has that gift.
It's a gift that's come in time for me. It wasn't necessarily an easy transition for me. Like I said, I can talk all day long, but put a camera in my face and I'm like... And Kevin, who runs Rise, well, one of the people that runs Rise, was very, very instrumental in that for me. Basically made me do a couple of different drills one time that at Lexi's house when we had training. And since then, I've been kind of trying to work on it, and I feel like I'm getting better and better at being in front of the camera. and being more organic and genuine. Like the last promo I sent him before this previous rise was me just sitting in my bedroom at 11 o'clock at night, just talking and saying exactly how I felt and what I hoped would come out of Rise 2 and how I felt about things.
And that was a promo you kind of did for Rise 2, like from last week, and it's like it was like I think a minute or minute 20 seconds or less than that. You kind of shot that so everybody can see. It's like, who is Derby Doll, like Layne Rosario? Who is this person? The person who never to me, that was the first time I actually learned about you. It's that little promo from Kevin Harvey's YouTube channel. It's like, who's this person? Derby Doll. Okay, so what makes her different? Is she a face, heel? Is there a gimmick? What is it? It kind of makes you stand out from the rest.
And I think with that promo, it was fun to actually be a little bit of a both. A little bit of a baby, a little bit of a heel. Like, to me, I feel like that's my personality altogether. I can go be one of the sweetest people in the world, and I can go from being one of the biggest mean and nasty little creatures on the face of the planet. So it's nice to portray that sometimes and show people that there is a duality to my personality, and you don't always have to be one thing. You can be multi-dynamic.
And do you have like a preference? Like, do you want to be like, you want to be the heel, or you want to be the face?
It used to be all I wanted to do was be heel, 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 tell the crowd off. But lately, it's all I've wanted to be was baby. I mean, I like it. I actually find it more difficult for me to be baby than it is to be heel, because I'm naturally mean looking, I guess, which works for the derby thing, which works. But I'm really, really nice, and it's nice to like be nice to the fans and stuff like that. It's nice.
Well, I kind of picture you this like, I think you might do this in the past or kind of in the future. As with the Derby Doll gimmick, did you ever done as wearing your rolling skates, going around the ring and giving a high five to everybody as a face?
I wish. That would be awesome. But the only reason that I don't do that is because it would probably take too long to take the skates off and put my wrestling shoes on in order to get in the ring. So otherwise, I would love to, because I can, like I said, I can actually skate. It's just they don't make skates anymore that don't come off of sneakers or shoes. So I'm kind of at a disadvantage.
Well, we can have the Derby Doll brand, something like that for your kind of style. It's like, hey, make a wrestling boots and put out little roller skates that can be removable anytime. It's like, and then it can be wrestling boots. Something out there just to let you know.
I wish if somebody can make those for me, that would be cute. I've actually used my skates as a weapon, so that was fun to do too.
When did you use that?
My Shine debut. I went to hit Luscious Latasha with them. She moved out of the way. I ended up hitting myself in the head, thus leading to her pinning me.
Is she your person to? Well, you kind of mentioned Luscious Latasha. Is she your favorite person to wrestle, or is there still more wrestlers you kind of like to wrestle?
To be honest with you, my favorite person to wrestle would be Santana. Hands down, 100%. It's fun to be in there with somebody that you can just have fun with. You don't have to stress out about it. And somebody that pushes you past what you think you can do.
Is there a time when you kind of mentioned Santana as like, it's a person you love to wrestle with, and like you have, building up a chemistry inside the ring. Did you have one of those moments also that you had the worst moment when you were a wrestler or even a manager?
I think when you're first coming in, as far as managing, just making sure that you know your timing and you don't miss your cues for the most part. Because I've had that happen, unfortunately. As far as wrestling wise, it's just dealing with different personality types sometimes, and not everybody's going to be easy to deal with. Not everybody's going to have the same style as you. So I just take it as a challenge to learn and grow from that person and see what I can come out of it learning or growing from.
And what was the spot you kind of mentioned earlier about Mr. Q? Does that happen like many times, or
Oh,
was there like one big time you kind of missed?
no, it was just once. The person hit the ropes and I didn't grab his feet like I was supposed to. That's it. And that was real early in my career. Like that was maybe 2 weeks in.
Well, again, you were considered as a rookie, so at least you kind of did trial and error. So that was your error, but then again, you're still gonna practice, which you gain through every
Yeah.
time you're inside the ring or outside the ring as a manager, should I say. But all right. Before I end this interview, I gotta say, what is your goals for 2017? Again, you kind of said Soraya Knight was your goal for 2017. What is Derby Doll's 2017 goal?
Okay. I'll give you my little list. Jericho has one, so do I. It is to at least be a WWE NXT extra once, hopefully more than that. It is Shimmer. Shimmer's a big one for me. I want to travel over to the UK or Japan and I don't know, take the country by storm and show them the true meaning of Derby Strong. There's so much that I want to do and I'm going to work hard to get to it. So look forward to seeing a lot more of me. Hopefully more in California because I loved it so much that I want to make a return.
What made you want to come back to California? Is it because our beach is kind of better in New Jersey?
Yeah, well, maybe that too. But something about that crowd was insane for me because they're so into it, so engaged, and they love wrestling. Like it reminds me of fans from the Northeast are like that. They're so engaged in it and they love it. They're there simply because of the love of wrestling.
Well, again, this northern and southern California, we have the different type of styles we got from the chain wrestling to lucha libre. Because again, we're down below the border. We have people from Mexico coming over here in California, giving dose of lucha libre, their kind of style, or strong style. Again, Japan's not too far away, but we have little few wrestlers from Japan coming over to California. And then also you have the Met wrestling, like Jeff Cox, who came from Hawaii, who we know him as Matanza from Lucha Underground, bringing his Olympian wrestling or Greco wrestling, I believe. It's like we have a mixture of everything else here in California.
I see that. I like it. It's fun.
And then again, the wrestling fans here, I want to compare it to like the Chicago fans or the Pennsylvania fans, the New Jersey or the New Yorkers. Like we kind of have our little crowd. But I kind of enjoy
It's a little reminiscent of the Philly fans because Philly fans are very into their wrestling.
And we're very vocal. We don't like something, we will tell you. We will tell you during the
Philly
match.
fans.
I think the one time you're gonna hear this directly from here, and it's part of your rights too. It was the Britt Baker versus Chelsea Green match. We kind of heard people whispering. Well, we didn't hear people. We hear Chelsea and Britt Baker talking during the match, which like we're right there. We can hear every little detail they're trying to do. It's like we know what spot you're gonna do. So why did you not plan it before? While telling us, oh, let's do this. Let's do that. Don't do improv in front of the crowd. If you don't have that experience, do improv. Like certain wrestlers, like Eddie Guerrero can do. He can do some improv wrestling stuff, like with Kurt Angle or Rey Mysterio. But with Chelsea and Britt Baker, again, you got the polka wrestlers saying this is boring. It's like TNA. This is TNA. I don't mean TNA wrestling. It's like tits and ass kind of thing. It's like, but again, we're very vocal when it comes to wrestling in California,
Which is good because it keeps us as wrestlers engaged in it too. Because the more reaction that you get, the more that it amps you up. At least it does for me. That's what I miss about the Northeast style of the fans because they're very vocal. They'll let you know when they like you and let you know when they don't. Because when I was a heel up there, they would tell me, "Hey, we hate you. We don't like you," and it fuels you more. To me, as a performer, it fuels me more.
Well, hopefully we can have you back here in California with AWS or the other local independent wrestling promotions we have in California or the SoCal region.
I'd love to. I'd love to come back and work for AWS. I loved it. That show was crazy.
We're gonna wrap this up, Derby Doll. Is there a way the fans can keep in contact with you when it comes to social media or promoters want to book you for upcoming shows?
Yeah, I have a Facebook under Layne Rosario. On Instagram, I am Doll Layne Rosario. And on Twitter, I am Laney, Laney, cherry, like the fruit. So everybody can get in touch with me any one of those three ways.
All right. So again, thank you, Derby Doll, Derby Doll, Layne Rosario, for coming to SoCali's Wrestling. Hopefully, we can bring you back to California for our next one. Again, seeing you wrestle with somebody else, somebody from our little California wrestlers.
I would love to.
So, all right. Good night, everybody, and good night, Derby Doll. And again, thank you for coming to SoCali's Wrestling.
Good night.